You know, when you think about it, Houston really was the most beatable 1 seed because they did lose in the championship game. Jack, shut the
What's going on, guys, and welcome into Afterthoughts.
He's butt naked on some of these shots.
They're starting to storm, Ryan.
The first problem is your best player of the season is Tyrese Maxey.
For my rankings, I kind of went off vibes a little bit.
I said they'd make it. I'm saying they're going to make it by a half game.
Omarion Hampton is a dog. He's insane.
Sure, man.
Nice guy.
If you say so.
Yeah.
What's going on, guys, and welcome into Afterthoughts. Ryan Lombardi, Nathan Donnelly, and Jack Haskell here to bring you all of this coverage. NCAA, man, it's over.
I am so sad. In the words of the wise Cole Adams, thank you, college basketball.
It is over, unfortunately. I'm already counting down the days. I'm looking at the teams I'm waiting to watch for next year. But let's talk about this year first, yeah?
Yeah, let's recap it. Obviously, we had the Final Four on Saturday. Two great games. Two great games.
Florida played Auburn, the SEC matchup. We talked about it. If you remember last week's episode, I had a couple keys, but my major key, Elijah Martin would need to step up in that game. He didn't have a high scoring game, but he was very efficient from three, 17 points total. And I didn't really notice this until the Final Four games. He's an absolute animal around the rim. He finishes however he wants, whenever he wants. He is extremely talented.
Yeah, all of those Florida role players, like you said, stepped up, and that's what put Florida above Auburn. And I mean, even Walter Clayton, Florida's guy, 34 points, 5 for 8 from 3. I mean, say what you want about Walter Clayton, he's a dog, and I cannot wait to see what he does at the pro level.
I think this is a game that a lot of people had Florida in, and they knew they were going to win this game, and they just didn't. They didn't surprise anybody. I feel like everybody knew Florida was going to move on.
No, we knew coming into the Final Four and the tournament in general. We said this: they were the most put together team. Me personally, I had Auburn as my champion, but I was not shocked to see Florida win this game whatsoever.
It really was a toss-up. I mean, you've got the most well-balanced team versus arguably the best player in the nation. But well-rounded beats a single guy.
It does.
Always.
Almost every time. Almost.
Yes. But that was a game, they played from behind. But I think the biggest game that night was Houston stunning Duke.
Absolutely.
And man, oh wow. Man, from the darkest hour, Houston survived and advanced.
I mean, just wow. Arguably best game of the year. I mean, Cooper Flagg being knocked out of the NCAA National Championship game contention by Houston, who we have said was arguably the second best well-put around team.
Me and Nathan
We
have
argued
said.
that.
Me and Nathan have
You
said.
said something else about Houston.
Yeah. We don't need to talk about that.
I did. And you know what? I will be the first one to apologize to Houston.
Thank you.
Because they were a good basketball team. We'll get to them a little later on,
We will get to them.
more in
Yes.
depth.
Yes.
But Houston Cougars, if you're watching this, Kelvin Sampson, I apologize.
Kelvin's watching this right now.
If you remember back to that game, the Houston, there was a foul late in that game that kind of altered what that game could have been on Cooper Flagg. If we could get that foul on screen. We'll take a look at this.
Yep.
Cooper Flagg was reaching for the ball and got rung up with a foul.
See, as a big guy with experience here, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I feel for Juwan Roberts in that he's making physical contact and attempting to box him out. But dude, that's Cooper Flagg. You have to put your all into the box out. He was maybe if a 50% box out, if that. You have to give it 100 in order to sell the over the back foul.
Right.
Call me crazy. That's an easy foul in my eyes. I really don't see the controversy of it. I think that's a pretty easy call to make.
I talked to the referee, and he said he made that call in spite of you. So
And he says
I'm
you're
shocked
wrong.
you said that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He said you were wrong about Houston, and he just wanted Houston to move on. That's why he called the foul.
I see.
I do understand what you're saying, but
That late in the game, though,
Yes,
it's a tough thing.
It is.
tough
And
call.
that goes back to the whole thing of, even going back to Derek Queen's game winner. putting Maryland over Colorado State. It's like, or not over Colorado State, excuse me.
You're not going to call that travel.
You're not.
No,
Yeah.
you can't. It's college basketball. Like, you just can't do it.
You're not going to call that travel, and it's, do you call that over the back that late?
I don't think, one, Juwan Roberts did not make any attempt to go for the ball after he boxed him out. And two, I'm not going to like ride on Juwan Roberts' effort here, but it didn't look like he put a whole lot into boxing him out. Like, you have to sell the box out in order to get the over the back. In my experience playing basketball, that is how it's always been.
It's a slippery slope,
It is.
but
It is.
also just don't get in that position in the first place. Don't make the game so close to that call deciding the game. I mean, John Shire said it when he got back to campus. That was Duke's first loss with a completely healthy team. You have a completely healthy team. Why are you down? Why are you down in that position anyway?
It's almost safe to say, and this is not a knock on Houston, but it was a miracle run they went on in that last 2 minutes of the game. To go on a 15-3 run to close the game, that's unheard of.
Yeah, and somebody for Houston, especially in that 15-3 run, but all over the game, for me, was Joseph Tugler. Going into this game, I thought Joseph Tugler would be one-on-one with Cooper Flagg the entire game. Kelvin Sampson did not do that. Whether he should have or not is up for debate. But Juwan Roberts played good defense on Cooper Flagg, but he got the most timely stop of the game, right? Right at the very end. That's really all that matters. That's all we're going to remember.
I think it's safe to say that Cooper Flagg is just not clutch.
No.
Let's
here we go.
relax.
Here we go.
Let's relax. I mean, don't get me wrong.
All I'm saying is LeBron James would have made that shot. As an 18-year-old, LeBron James would have made that shot.
Is he still the best 18-year-old ever touch a basketball?
Carmelo Anthony would have made that shot. Shout out Melo.
Shout out Melo.
But regardless,
So is
didn't
Melo the
even-
greatest 18-year-old?
I never said that. Melo's the greatest one and done in college basketball history. You can quote me on that, but I wouldn't say he's the greatest 18-year-old of all time.
Okay.
But nonetheless, Houston may have gotten past Duke, but who they weren't able to get past is the Florida Gators.
We're not on the Florida Gators yet. We'll get to it.
We're on it now.
No, we'll get to it. Let's talk about that last Cooper Flagg shot. We can show on the screen. Cooper Flagg had a shot at the end of the game to win, and we'll take a look here. 13 seconds. Flagg puts up a tough shot, and it goes off the front of the rim.
Juwan Roberts, primary defender on that shot, primary defender all game. Flagg still had, I'm sorry, I'm checking the numbers, 27, 7, and 4 with Juwan Roberts on him. Should Tugler have been on him? I don't know. But my point in saying this was Tugler still played an amazing game. He was everywhere else he needed to be defensively.
Yeah.
And I think that is what won them the game. Cooper Flagg had 27. Knipple had 16. Nobody
They did
else,
what they needed to do.
Nobody else came even close to making an effort to have the third best game on Duke to me.
I agree.
Yeah, at the end of the day, your role players need to step up in big games like that and toss-up games like that, arguably. And we've talked about it before. A basketball team is not comprised of one or two guys.
Yeah.
It's comprised of the entire team, whether it's the 5 guys on the court at the same time or the other 3, 4, 5 that are coming off the
We
bench
saw
for you.
Proctor step up in the beginning of the tournament against Baylor. I
did.
can't remember, what was it, like 7 for 8? We talked about it on the show. Like, you didn't need a 7 for 8 performance, but you gotta be like Elijah Martin stepped up against Auburn. You have to step up and be a primetime player.
College
really what it comes down
basketball
to.
is a next man up game.
It is.
And if you're not the next man up and you can't play well enough, then you're letting your team down.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then now we can talk about
Now
Florida.
we're on to Florida.
Florida last night-
Congratulations are in order.
Yeah. Florida last night overcame a 12-point deficit, which is like in the national championship pretty unheard of. But when you have
good.
two of the best teams going at it, I would say start of the game, not what everyone expected and hoped it to be.
No, not at all. And there were times where I was like, oh my God, for a national championship game, like, this is very sloppy. But the last 6-7 minutes of the game, I was on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, and I will be an advocate of the last 30 seconds being sloppy as well.
Yeah.
I would like to give a shout out to Emmanuel Sharp. Please, Houston fans, do not go hard on him. He had 2 turnovers in the last 30 seconds of the game.
Right.
One, great defensive play by Will Richard to knock it off of Sharp's leg out of bounds. And then Sharp just gets stuck with the ball at the very end.
You can't, and he couldn't touch the ball either.
He couldn't touch it after, and Walter Clayton had a great closeout on Emmanuel Sharp on that 3 at the
Yeah.
very end of the game.
Oh, yeah.
It was like he wasn't even there, and then he was. It was a phenomenal closeout. Please. You're the he's the reason Houston was in that game for the 3 against Duke. Like, Emmanuel Sharp had a great tournament. He had like 16 or 17 points.
He struggled last
in
night, though.
3 of the tournament games. He struggled
last night.
He struggled last night.
Somebody else who struggled last night, Walter Clayton Jr. I mean, still most outstanding player, don't get me wrong, but man, maybe the lights were just a little too bright for Walter Clayton Jr.
They possibly might have been.
He didn't score his first 2 points until 25 minutes into the game, and they were off free throws. If you're the star guy of the national championship winning team, you've got to do better than that.
Gonna quote Austin Townley here because he put out a tweet, and I think he might have been the jinx. Austin Townley. I wish we could show this on screen, but the fate of the universe on the line. The Martians have the death beam pointed at Earth. I want Clayton Jr.
You know, he actually saw that tweet, and he said, I'm not going to be able to perform now.
I agree with that. I think he definitely
jinxed.
said that. Yeah,
It was a jinx.
He definitely.
Yeah.
Austin jinxed him. Austin, I know you're you hear us right now.
Wherever you are in the control room, you jinxed Walter Clayton Jr.
Yeah, I actually said it's looking like Austin Townley might be the MVP for Houston, and I might have put the jinx on Houston.
But
after
thankfully for Austin, Will Richard stepped up this game instead of
my
Elijah
gosh.
Martin. I believe it was like Will Richard had 14 points in the first half, I think. Will Richard had an amazing game.
he was knocking down threes left and right.
It was truly phenomenal.
You've got to step up when your top guy isn't producing
You have
and
to.
performing, and Will Richard did exactly that. And even Elijah Martin wasn't great in that game either.
He was not. It was going to be one or the other. Thankfully, it was Will Richard.
Yeah.
Which that has led to some conversation. Will Richard was on the NCAA all-tournament team over Elijah Martin, and some are wondering, does Elijah Martin deserve it over Will Richard, or was it right saying Will Richard? I mean, you look at
It's
the
hard
numbers.
to not put somebody from like Florida on there.
No, absolutely. But then you even have Cooper Flagg in when he wasn't even in the championship
Look at
game.
Flagg's stats.
Absolutely.
Look at Flagg's stats and then come back to me.
I understand that.
Look
I
at-
understand that. But do you really not put 3 guys from the championship winning team on
Look
the
at
all-tournament
Cooper
team?
Flagg's stats. Come back to me.
I have Cooper's Flag stats right in front of me. 19.5 points, 7.8 rebounds, 5.3 assists.
It's right there.
1.8
It's
blocks.
right there.
I understand that, but he didn't make it to the championship game.
And he still scored 19.5 points as a freshman in the NCAA tournament through 5 games.
Against
That
the best
is
defenses.
unheard of. Unheard of.
So then you would
Stop.
agree with me that he's
Stop.
the greatest 18-year-old to play basketball.
So Cooper,
I don't agree with you. I never said that. Good night.
Cooper Flagg was named to the all-tournament team without making the championship game. Along with that, since 2000, the other guys who have accomplished that, excuse me for my look, Elijah Martin, Paolo Banchero, Johnny Juzang, and Jamie Skeen. He is in that company. He totally deserves to be in that company, Jack. He was amazing.
But he didn't make the
He didn't
championship
make the
game.
final shot. He was insane
gosh.
the whole tournament. He was absurd. And the first weekend, he was playing on a bad ankle.
Okay, against, what was it, American University? Liberty?
And he was
second-
still playing.
Yeah,
He played against Baylor.
against a 16-seeded play.
And he was still playing on a hurt ankle against Baylor, an 8 seed who snuck their way in and were a sneaky 8 seed.
I mean,
So-
call it what you want.
We're not the wrong ones.
No,
are
we're not
we?
wrong.
Okay,
I
all
don't
right.
think we're wrong.
I really don't want to
If
be
you're in the
gaslit.
chat, let us know if we're wrong. But I really don't think so.
I'm not saying even he doesn't deserve it. I'm just saying, do you still put a third guy from the championship-winning team on the all-tournament team?
I feel like we need some chat input, if anything, in the comments.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. Well, we'll talk about this. Hey,
Please, if you're
Appreciate you,
watching, please.
Can we talk about the real MVP last night? There was a Florida fan that decided to cut down his own basketball hoop. Can we show the
I have
clip?
not seen this.
There it is. He went out there.
Yo, this is fire.
Felt like I was part of the team last night and had to cut my net down. Good win, Gators. Championship felt good.
You know
That's
what?
fire.
I mean, if our Bonnies ever win the
I'm
NCAA
going to the
tournament,
RC and doing that.
Yeah.
I'm cutting down the nets.
I'm going to the
I
RC.
might have
Shout
my
out that
own
guy.
ritual.
Who
So you know
found
what?
that? Was that Noah?
Shout out
No,
Florida.
shout out Noah.
Shout out Noah,
But
thank you.
shout out that guy, MVP last night.
That's what it's all about right there. Like, you were a part of the team.
Oh my
That's
gosh,
awesome.
yeah.
Absolutely. But, you know, now that every team season is over, we get into the offseason, which has already been really interesting. And
It has.
The transfer portal's heating up. The coaches portal's heating up.
This is
Nathan,
scary.
I know there's a guy you want to highlight.
We do. I didn't know if you wanted to go first with your whole thing. There is a guy I want to highlight. If we could run that clip, his name, I really hope I'm saying his name right. Jaden Quintance. Beginning of last year, he committed to Kentucky. And as we all know, can we run that clip, please? Okay, no. And as we all know, Coach Kell retired. He left, right?
Right.
So then Mark Pope comes in, and anybody who has already committed gets to leave, like resign their letter of intent or whatever. So he went to ASU. Yeah, these kind of speak for himself. He's 6'9", and that man had a family. Like that's not fair. So he averaged about 9 points, 8 rebounds. He is going back to Kentucky to play with Mark Pope and Diabate, the other center from Alabama. That just happened today, by the way. He just committed today. Yeah, I mean, like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, he looks
absurd.
unreal.
My word.
I mean, that's not even like that's not even like low major highlights anyway. That was against Florida, who just won. Like, this is absurd. So
Yeah, I know he's really. That's a really good pickup.
it's
for
really
Kentucky.
just
They
an
got
eye
to come
test
back.
thing.
Yeah,
he's
sure.
insane.
Pretty interesting transfer.
Yeah, he
But,
looks. I'm very excited to watch him.
Speaking of transfers, and I even mentioned the coaches portal a little bit, there's something going on in Bloomington, Indiana.
Careful how you word this.
Let's say
Let's
this the
be
right way,
careful.
Jack.
Let's
not throw allegations around, but let's address the facts.
I never said anything about allegations.
Let's address the facts.
Let's go through the timeline. On March 24th, 2024, Darian DeVries was hired as West Virginia's men's basketball head coach. And he brought his son, Tucker DeVries, with him from Drake.
Normal
Drake,
thing.
of course,
Yeah.
had a successful season. They had a nice little run in the NIT.
West Virginia had a successful season as well.
Absolutely.
They really did.
November 27th to 29th, 2024, late November, starting to get into the end of the non-conference, the Battle for Atlantis tournament took place in the Nassau, Bahamas.
Yes.
In attendance in this tournament were Indiana head coach Mike Woodson, West Virginia head coach Darian DeVries,
Yes.
and Indiana athletic director Scott Dolson.
Yes.
Now, let's put a pin in this. We'll get
Okay,
back to this
okay.
in due time. On December 6, 2024, Tucker DeVries played his last game of the 2024-2025 season against Georgetown.
He hurt his shoulder, I think.
He
right?
did. He
Yeah,
did.
Okay.
Stay with me.
Yeah,
Stay
he
with me.
hurt his shoulder. We're
February
playing a
4th,
little-
Played a
2025.
long game here.
Tucker
it's a marathon.
DeVries was announced to be having season-ending shoulder surgery,
Yeah, that's what I thought.
ruling him out for the rest of the season.
I remember seeing that.
Now, this was a little sketchy already because it had been like 2 months of him just being day-to-day questionable, nothing really to note. 4 days later, on February 8th, it was announced that Mike Woodson would not be returning to Indiana next season. This was after Indiana having a less than stellar season. 4 days after that, there was a burner Twitter account going by the name of IU Annan, if we can throw that up on the
yeah,
screen.
let's throw up that graphic.
His bio reads, "I am the source your favorite burner pretends to have. Ultra mega booster insider extraordinaire. Seriously, I already know."
love conspiracy theories.
He posted a tweet saying, "There has been a verbal agreement with coach for almost a month. The contract was drafted and it's going to be signed as soon as the coach's season is over." This is referring to Indiana's new head coach. And then he has another tweet that he puts out. If we want to throw that one on the screen, "I'm not afraid to say who it is. It's Darian
As in,
DeVries."
correct.
Who else is Darian?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
March 16th, West Virginia and Indiana both miss out on the March Madness tournament. We already know how I feel about West Virginia missing out. 2 days later, Darian DeVries is hired as Indiana men's basketball head coach. And it's said that the West Virginia AD, Ren Baker, was not given an opportunity to counter.
Meaning he was going.
Correct.
He was
Nothing
going
he
no
could do.
matter
He was
what.
gone.
April 2nd, his son Tucker DeVries officially transfers to Indiana.
With a DNC, do not
Correct.
contact.
Yep.
Yes.
4 days later, Davidson forward Reed Bailey transfers to Indiana. And where was Reed Bailey November 27th through 29th?
Which-
he was
yeah.
in the Bahamas.
He played in the Battle for Atlantis.
We are not
So-
throwing allegations around.
I'm not
These are-
saying
these are just
anything
facts.
specific, but
Strictly facts.
This is a series of facts. Yeah.
something fishy is going
Yeah.
on in Bloomington, Indiana.
So,
Strictly facts. All right, we got more to come on Afterthoughts. We're going to cut to a quick break. Please stay with us. More to come. MLB. The Masters is coming up, as well as some hockey talk. Stay with us.
Hey everyone, I'm Noah Randall, and we're going to be breaking down the Great Chase. I'm here with Washington Capitals superfan and Snipe and Score insider Sean Wallace. Sean, I know you're happy that Alexander Ovechkin is atop the goal scorers in the NHL, one of your favorite players on your favorite team. I personally am just happy that he didn't do it against my team, my Buffalo Sabres. Sean, what do you have to say?
Well, Noah, I got to tell you, I couldn't be more happier. Alex Ovechkin, my favorite hockey player of all time, 895 goals. He passes Wayne Gretzky and now stands atop of the NHL goals list. You know, I think what stands out the most in terms of this is the fact that they both played 1,487 games. I mean, I think that's pretty crazy, the fact that both of them played the same amount of games and Alex Ovechkin was just one ahead of Gretzky. Now, I got to tell you, in terms of maybe whose record was more impressive, if you put Wayne Gretzky in today's NHL, how many goals do you think he'd score? Now, I got to tell you, Alex Ovechkin, I think what he did, especially coming back after a broken leg, you know, he only missed 5 weeks. I think that's pretty impressive. But no, this is the great one. He leads the entire NHL in points. Truly the greatest NHL player of all time. But in terms of who the best goal scorer in the NHL is, got to give that one to Alex Ovechkin.
I was going to say Ovechkin's definitely the best offensive player in the NHL. Obviously, Wayne Gretzky still got him beat in assists and points, but in terms of pure goal scoring, yeah, Alex is atop the NHL. I also saw that it was about 20 years, almost to the day, since the Capitals acquired the rights to draft Alexander Ovechkin.
That's right.
20 years later, he breaks the record for him.
But now we got to ask, who's going to break Ovi's record? You know, you still got McDavid, you still got Matthews in the league. I would say in terms of players who are still in the league, I'm curious to see what Austin Matthews does. If he keeps going at the pace he's going right now and doesn't fall at any certain point. Austin Matthews could break the record at, I believe, age 39 or 40 in 2023 or 2034 or 2035. My math is horrible. I'm sorry.
Well, that's going to do it for our breaking down of the Great Chase. For Sean Wallace, I've been Noah Randall.
Back here on Afterthoughts, James Derrick, Gavin Watson join alongside me. And guys, Vlad Guerrero gets extended with the Blue Jays. And we talked about this a lot off air, obviously. But quickly, just what are our initial thoughts on this deal?
I think one of the Bison's or the Blue Jays beat reporters summed it up pretty well. They've had a lot of money to spend the last 3 off seasons. They haven't spent it. This is where they ended up putting the money, and you know, I think by the time that deal's done, it might be one of the worst contracts ever. But you know,
Hey, come on. You don't know what's going to come of this. You know, for example, if Vladdy is going to lead them to a World Series.
you can't even say with a straight face.
You
You can't even like lie
But-
and say you think they're gonna make it to a World Series.
What if? You can't count them out yet. You know, if they do win something, I think it automatically makes it worth it. But he might very well be retired before this contract is even up.
As a guy who's kind of a liability in the field as well, to kind of strictly sign him as a designated hitter for almost the end most of his career, that much money is kind of crazy. I mean, there's a reason they moved him from third to first.
And first isn't necessarily the most. Yeah, that's not where they put the best defender on the team.
But Gavin, you summed it up best. One of the worst contracts in the MLB. So now we're going to go into the top 5 worst MLB contracts. We got Ryan over here. He's going to give a little way, Ryan. Yeah.
Hey guys.
And so we made our list of what we think is top 5. No particular order.
No.
We're just going to kind of go through it. James, what is our first one?
Well, the first one I think all of us, we mentioned when we were writing this, is Chris Davis. I mean, he had the longest hitless streak of all time. And this was after signing a big-time $161 million contract over 7 years.
Yeah, they're still paying him. By the way, they are still paying him. The Orioles are still paying him.
It's
That's
absolutely
unbelievable.
A negative WAR over the course of the contract. You know,
He also had that crazy hitless streak. He
Yeah.
started out 0 for 56 before he finally got a hit and it was a home run.
I do remember this. I remember
Yeah.
this being a huge thing at the time of it happening. I remember seeing it all over ESPN and in the sports world of just how terrible of a job Chris Davis was doing.
And the big thing that I remember coming out of all of this was he was essentially just a strict pull hitter.
Yeah.
Guys were pitching him to the outside part of the plate, and his philosophy was, I'm not going to change anything.
I'm gonna make it work.
I'm just going to make it work, and well, he didn't. To be completely honest,
No.
they're still paying him to this day, and well, I don't see him playing anywhere.
Yeah. Well, I got our next one, and the next guy we want to talk about, Jacoby Ellsbury. The Yankees signed him on a $153 million deal, 7 years. Now, Ellsbury coming off, he had a great season with the Red Sox before the Yankees signed him. And that season, he hit 30 home runs, stole a ton of bases, and really came in. And Ellsbury was supposed to be the guy. He was supposed to be our top center fielder.
Yeah, 9.6 wins above replacement in his time in New York. Of the people on this list, I wouldn't say his playing time was too bad. 95 OPS plus, a little worse than league average. But
I would say when he actually played, he played decently
He played
well.
decent.
He played above average. But the actual time he saw on the field was so bad. His contract wasn't even up. And the Yankees were like, yeah, you got to
You're
retire,
retired.
man.
You're done.
He missed season after season. There had to be at least 4 seasons he didn't even play 100 games in.
Yeah.
He missed a lot of time.
And one of the other things I remember hearing, because I watched pretty much every Yankees game, is they talked about Jacoby Ellsbury, and I'm not trying to bash him here, but he had a bit of a lack of a work ethic, maybe. They said it almost felt like a job to him to be a Major League Baseball
sounds like something
player.
we might get to later. I don't know.
Yeah, possibly. That's not something you want to hear ever.
No, especially in New
You
York.
rarely hear it. And, to me, it appears that Jacoby Ellsbury never stopped playing for the Red Sox. That's what I have to say about
I like that. Gavin, our third one.
So this is kind of a team award. We like
team award.
Yeah, we don't like to cut people off. So this one goes to the Nationals for their deals with Steven Strasburg, Patrick Corbin, and Ryan Zimmerman, the trifecta of bad moves. So Steven Strasburg, a $245 million deal over the course of 7 years. They signed that deal after the 2019 World Series that they won. He proceeded to play 8 games after the 2019 World Series, accruing negative .5 WAR. Patrick Corbin, he's not even on the Nationals anymore. He still should be. $140 million over 6 years. Played 170 games with a 5.11 ERA. Just not a good move. Our last move, $100 million for 6 years for Ryan Zimmerman. I think when you look at who they gave up in Bryce Harper, who signed a massive deal in 2019 with the Phillies, it makes these
and
moves
really
look
saw how
heroics.
that worked out for the Phillies.
Yes, and how good he has played.
It's definitely disappointing. Ryan, what do you think about this Nationals? These 3 guys.
The fact that you could find 3 guys who have terrible contracts and barely ever played just shows you how bad this Nationals.
That
What
front
are you
office.
doing? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Come
No,
on,
I
that's
just
terrible.
wanted to echo that a little bit more. I mean, they didn't hesitate to give up the money to Patrick Corbin. And in the year prior to this, 2017 statistics, he had above a 4 ERA, gave up 26 homers. That is well, I guess bottom 50 in the league. What's ideally going to happen here, right? You're almost seeing the regression happen before it really sets in. And this is during his prime years. How is it going to get better as he ages? Again, the Nationals are the spot on this list, not Patrick Corbin or Steven Strasburg or Ryan Zimmerman. The Nationals. They made this mistake.
The front office dumpster fire.
Yes.
Coming in at number 4 on our list, Javier Baez. Ryan, what do we got?
A mistake? I don't know. It was bad. $140 million over 6 years. Are you kidding? No. That's unbelievable. I'm sorry.
If someone got his stats, run us through, James. What has Javier Baez done since joining the Tigers?
I will say, he was always a free swinger, as they would describe him on the Chicago Cubs.
He is.
He definitely still is now. He was in the bottom 1% of the entirety of Major League Baseball in 2022 and 2023 in chase rate, chasing almost 45% of pitches that are out of the zone.
Mm-hmm.
That's about half. I mean, an average count in the MLB probably at least gets to like 2-2. That you're not going to see that many pitches if you're swinging at that many balls. I mean, bottom 1% is abysmal.
There must have just been something with $140 million deals over 6 years that were signed in the 2021-2022 offseason. Because if you remember, Trevor Story signed that exact same contract with the Boston Red Sox, and he hasn't had a fully healthy year in his time in Boston. So something was up with that middle infield, $140 million over 6-year type window, because they both are kind of playing lackluster so far in their contract.
Out of the 780 players in the MLB right now, I could probably think of at least 500 guys I'd pay that contract to over Javier Baez.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. And it's not even like you can say, oh, well, at least he's good on the defensive side. In his time in Detroit, he has a -5 defensive run save. So where is he getting the job done?
I just don't know. And when you think about his Cubs days, and that year he was like literally in the MVP race with like Christian Yelich, you just think of the glory days with Javier Baez and how good he really was. Like this guy was an MVP candidate.
Dude, he was on the cover of MLB The Show. Like this guy was a superstar.
Yeah, he's a cover athlete for a video game. You know, they only put good players on the cover of video games. You know, I know something else.
And Juan Soto.
He's good. Come on, don't be butthurt. But in 2022, right after they made this deal with Javi Baez, they proceeded to go 66-96, and then the following year, 78-84. So missing the playoffs both years, they're building towards something now. But again, that's just a contract that they're still going to have to deal with.
I mean, you do have to give.
They have been playing well.
You have to give Detroit some credit for the fact that they have this deal on the books and are still able to start progressing in a build and even make the playoffs last season with this contract on the books.
Yeah, I have to agree 100%. They've done it with homegrown talent. That's why. That's pretty much
a lot of cost control guys.
And then the last guy, James, do you want to introduce him?
Chris Bryant. Another
Cub. Another 2016
This one
Cubby.
hurts. I got to say, this one hurts. Chris Bryant, probably one of my favorite players of all time. I got to be completely honest. Like 2016, I had a Chris Bryant jersey. I watched that Cubs World Series Game 7. My dad let me stay up just because how much of a Chris Bryant fan I was. I wasn't even a Cubs fan. I was strictly a Chris Bryant fan. I was him for Halloween that year, everything. And then just to see what happened to him after, he went to the Giants, played pretty well. He was still in the decline, but then he went to the Rockies, and my goodness, just the career was over from there. And
the thing is it's Colorado is the most hitter-friendly ballpark in the league, and he still was putting up a .247 batting average with a .704 OPS and a -1.3 WAR. So it's not even like
it hurts.
Not even like he's in a ballpark that's a terrible hitter's park. No, he's at the hitter's park in the MLB.
Yeah. Ryan, what do you think about this Chris Bryant on this list?
I mean, look, I know the glory days. He had his glory days. I don't know how he fleeced $182 million over 7 years from the Rockies of all teams. And if I'm looking at this list, these four, at least, maybe not the Nationals, but the Nationals had success. These 4 teams at least had success. The Rockies, there's nothing there. Since they signed him, it's just been downhill for them.
And don't forget, Chris Bryant was an MVP in 2016 as well. Like,
it's just someone who's past his prime, and I think the major thing here is health, right? So since 2022, he only played in 165 games. There's 162 games in a season. There's been quite a few seasons since 2022, and he hasn't quite played over one.
Hey, maybe that's someone with the Colorado air, the thinner air up there that might be, stunning his recovery a little bit potentially. I don't know, but yeah, Chris Bryant, he's taking that fall off, I will say.
So that will do it for our list, but we do have some honorable mentions we want to mention before we cut the break here. Gavin, you want to introduce one of them?
We hinted at it earlier with it feels like a job sometimes. Anthony Rendon. I mean, this is a guy who's just had a streak of bad luck. A $245 million deal over 7 years, but when he has been active, he's gotten hurt and he's gotten suspended a ton. So that doesn't help him with staying on the field. Especially, this year was supposed to be one of the first years he was back healthy.
Right.
And then he gets put on the IL, and he's going to undergo hip surgery.
He just doesn't even want to play.
Yeah, he was on a podcast saying that he wanted the season to be shorter than it already is, which when you already aren't playing the full season, it's a tough look.
Right, and you could say that the Nationals kind of survived this deal because obviously he wins the World Series with them in 2019 and then signs with the Angels that massive contract.
Yeah. I mean, the Nationals, I said it before, the Nationals had success. It wasn't any part to him or any of these guys, but
I do want to touch on he did earn the contract in a sense,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
He won the World Series with the Nationals, right?
He
And
played well with Washington.
Did he win the MVP, the NL MVP that year?
I'm not.
Was he at least in
sure.
contention?
He may have been in
I would
the
say
race,
he
but
had to be at least.
That's neither here nor there.
But that might have been the Bellinger Yelich.
Right.
But again, he absolutely fleeced the Angels. He
Yeah.
made them think they were going to get a player that they never got.
A lot of people have fleeced the Angels. I mean, one stat I just want to point out is Ted Williams.
This is good.
One of the greatest
This one
players
is
ever.
good.
Fought in World War II, right? Between 1942 and 1946. He missed 3 full seasons in that time. He has played more baseball games in that 4-year stretch than Anthony Rendon has played in the 4-year stretch of his contract. Ted Williams played 300 baseball games during World War II. Anthony Rendon has played 257 games total in his 4 years. That's nuts. He was fighting in a war, and he still played more games than Anthony Rendon.
Wow. He fought in World War II. And that's crazy. The baseball's not a job for Ted Williams, right? That's how he spends his free time, if you will, when he's not fighting in a war, right? Man, Anthony Rendon, that's crazy. And then the last honorable mention that we have is Josh Hamilton.
Another Angel. Another time the
Angel.
Angels got fleeced.
$125 million over 5 years. Again, only 2.7 WAR, played 240 games, 31 homers, 255 batting average. That's not horrible.
I believe it was either Stephen A. Smith or Mad Dog Mike Russo who said if Josh Hamilton was able to stay on the field, he would have been the greatest baseball player ever.
Yeah, and the thing with Hamilton too is like at that time that was a lot of money. It doesn't seem like it right now with the contracts are at, but $25 million a year back when he got signed
was
that was
premier
big.
money. He was on the field for the Angels. He got hurt. He was rehabbing a shoulder injury. He had dealt with some alcohol and drug issues in previous seasons, and unfortunately during his rehab of the shoulder injury, he relapsed, and that kind of marked the end of his time in Los Angeles. They ended up trading him back to the Rangers, but they ended up having to eat a lot of that deal. But yeah, one of those guys that if he would have stayed on the field, he would have been one of the best players.
All right, guys. Well, more to come here on Afterthoughts. We got a fun little NBA segment. We're going to give our own awards for the season, as well as we'll preview the Masters up next here on Afterthoughts.
We got an all-time point guards draft.
The best version of any point guard ever. I'm going to start it off. Give me Steph Curry for my first overall pick.
Yeah, I'm gonna clap back. Some argue that he's still better than Steph Curry. I think it's still somewhat of a toss-up. Magic Johnson.
If I got to take the best version of a point guard, it's hard not to take the guy who's averaging 40. James Harden. Come on the Rockets, he was absolutely ridiculous. What's that
James
about?
Harden is a shooting guard.
He was a point guard on the Rockets.
Dude, he had the ball in his hands the whole time. He's the point guard.
I don't know.
Even now, he's
If
the
you
point
want to beat
guard.
me on a technicality,
I don't know if I agree with that classification, but
I think I'm going to take that MVP Steve Nash.
and
Give
thank
me
you for
MVP
allowing
Steve
Russell
Nash.
Westbrook, who is averaging 40-point triple-doubles, to fall into my lap. Russell Westbrook,
You can
please.
take his inefficient shooting any day of the week. He touched the ball like every possession. Sometimes it wasn't all good.
Doesn't matter. Prime Russell Westbrook is still one of the greatest players of all time.
This is
That's
awesome.
valid.
I got a turn right here. Give me Chris Paul, and then my next pick, Kyrie Irving. Best handles of all time.
Well, you know what? We're just going to keep going with triple-double point guards, Oscar Robertson.
There you go. I'm fine with taking the all-time assist leader, John Stockton.
Okay.
And then
That's a good one.
I'm going to take a guy who beat Jordan. Give me the correct Isaiah Thomas from the Pistons. Bad
boys, bad boys. What you gonna do? Speaking of bad boys, Jason Kidd.
The last pick of the all-time point guard drafts. Give me Gilbert Arenas.
Gilbert Arenas.
Gilbert Arenas?
If
No
you
chill,
the
Joe.
best version, right?
The best version of Gilbert Arenas.
It's not about
is
the
a
career.
dog. Absolute dog. He was Steph before Steph. Come on, man. He was incredible.
Did he average 30 for a season?
God, no.
I thought he was close.
No.
I think he was close.
Because I
Jack,
don't
can you
actually
look,
remember.
Can you look at that for us, please?
Yeah,
Jack?
actually, you want to look that up if Gilbert Arenas ever
let's see.
averaged 30
Because I know he was close. Listen, man, Gilbert Arenas is really underrated.
back then.
He averaged 28 in the 06-07 season.
Come on, man.
And 29 in the 05
Come on, Gilbert. No chill, Gil.
in 42 minutes.
Agent
played.
Zero. No chill, Gil. Thank you for backing up and validating my pick. I love Gilbert Arenas.
And we're back here on Afterthoughts. Jack Haskell, Austin Townley, and making his Afterthoughts debut is Julian McCool. Julian, pleasure to have you, man.
It's awesome to be here. I love watching it, behind the scenes, but can't wait to be, doing it with you guys on the, on the screen as well.
Julian, one of our main guys behind the scene, one of our crew members, and we had to get him on for some NBA talk, but kind of big news today in the NBA world. Michael Malone was fired, the head coach of the Nuggets. And we got 5 games left before the playoffs start.
I just want to say quickly, I was the one that got to break the news in the group chat.
That is true. We got a Haskell bomb, but
to be fair, I was in class, and my exact reaction to this was,
yeah.
There is no way. This is the last thing that I was expecting to see today when I woke up, thinking Michael Malone, the coach of the Denver Nuggets, would get fired 4 games before the playoffs?
I mean, Taylor Jenkins being fired like a few weeks ago was already a little absurd enough. But then you've got Michael Malone, who's coming off a championship in 2023?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's unheard of.
And the Nuggets also sit in 4th place right now in the Western Conference. So really not sure what this move was about.
Why would they do that?
The 3 through 8 is or 3 like the 3 through 8 spots all like pretty.
Yeah, it's all a game apart from one another.
It's really close.
It makes absolutely no sense to me. Michael Malone was the coach of the Nuggets for 10 seasons.
Yeah.
Right.
He was their most winning coach of all time. He went 471 and 327 in the regular season, and he went 45 and 36 in the playoffs in 10 seasons.
But it wasn't just Malone that got canned. The GM Calvin Booth also was fired today.
What is happening in Denver, Colorado?
There is something
I
behind
think-
the scenes, but if you see there was a clip trending. Is that what you're going to talk about?
I was gonna build off of that, but I feel like Calvin Booth getting the can, I think, made a little more sense than Mike Malone, just because of the recent draft success. I mean, not really playing a lot of these young players in this league right now.
Which I actually saw something on Twitter. Calvin Booth was beside himself that Mike Malone was playing Russell Westbrook over Jalen Pickett. And everybody in the comments was like flaming Jalen Pickett. Jalen Pickett's a baller.
No,
I've got a soft
not better
spot
than
for
Russell
Jalen
Westbrook.
Pickett.
Not better than Russell Westbrook.
Not at this point.
Not at this point. I don't care how old Russ is. I don't care what kind of season he's having. Russell Westbrook will forever and always be better.
That's
That's
Brody.
Is this you making up for what you said about him on Above the Rim?
He's still a loser. He sold Nikola Jokic that game. 61 points. Russell Westbrook missed a layup at the end. A layup! Dude! All right, let's get to the awards. We gave everybody an award this season. We came up with our own. Ryan, give us your award.
No, I want to go last. I'm going to say mine. I'm sorry.
You wanna save yours?
Yeah, I want to save mine.
Let's start with our special
start-
guest.
yeah,
All right.
Shoot the dude.
Dude,
So-
give us your award.
My award is called the Too Shiny Don't Touch Award, and I'm giving it to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who is very known for, let's call free throw merchant. A lot of the people on the internet would call him that, free throw merchant, averaging this year, 8.8 attempts, which is similar to James Harden and Kobe Bryant, who averaged 9 and 10 in their MVP season. So again, Shai, MVP candidate, doing similar things, getting to the free throw line, drawing contact to the ball. So yeah, the Too Shiny Don't Touch Award, I'll give it to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
What do you personally think about his foul baiting?
I mean, it's a part of the game. It is it's a part of the sport.
Jude knows
And-
ball.
Can't
Jude
beat
knows
that.
ball.
Can't-
It really is.
Do
agree
I like
with that,
watching
dude.
it? No, but is it part of the game? And
Part of
do
the game,
all the
man.
all-time great players do it?
That is true.
And then Austin, your award you would like to give out this year.
This year's Mr. Don't Pass the Ball award goes to Michael Doesn't Pass the Rock Porter Jr. I think this is pretty self-explanatory. That dude doesn't pass.
No.
On his career, he averages quite literally 1.4 assists per game.
Never swing the rock.
I've never.
At least he's averaging 1. So he does swing the rock a little bit.
Yeah. One in like every 10,000 possessions. But every time I throw the Nuggets game on and I see MPJ touch the ball, he lets that fly. He is.
Maybe that's why Malone got fired.
Yeah, because he lets him do that.
Yeah, because he
all the
doesn't
time.
Gave him too long of a leash.
Yeah.
You got it.
You have to
Why
actively
would they
try.
do that, though? Why would they do that?
All right.
You have
You're
to
not-
actively.
You're not Brian Windhorst, Jack.
You have to actively
Gotta come up with
try
your
to
own
do
thing.
that.
Come on.
Actively try to get 1 assist a game. I feel like I think that takes more skill of actually averaging 1 assist.
I feel like you
not trying to get more.
accidentally get 1 assist.
Yeah.
Like, you can accidentally pick up like 2-3 assists a
Right.
game, let alone 1.
This
One.
dude's
You have
even
to try to get
accidentally
one.
picking up an
You have
assist.
to
It's
try to
so
get one.
funny.
But nonetheless, my award, the Boston Celtics diehard fan and me, I went for the Marcus Smart Award. And it's just like the glue guy of the team, just hustles every single time he's on the floor. Give me Josh Hart of the New York Knicks.
I like this pick a lot, Jay.
He-
I really do.
Josh Hart is the Swiss Army knife of this New York Knicks team. He's everywhere on the floor. He plays his heart out every opportunity. And this year, arguably an MIP candidate, averaging 13.8 points, 9.5 rebounds, almost 6 assists, a steal and a half on 52% from the field, and 37 minutes per game. You know Tom Thibodeau loves to overplay
Austin,
the
floor.
Most improved is going to be Cade Cunningham. It's not going to be Josh Hart.
No,
Yes,
no,
it
it
is.
should
Yeah,
not
it
be
is.
Cade Cunningham.
It's gonna be Cade
It should
Cunningham.
not. Most improved player should not go to a former overall pick in their third, fourth year in the league. That is not how that award should be.
I agree with that.
I
agree with that.
Well, because Cade
JJ
Cunningham,
Redick just said that. I agree with it.
Because
Cade
it's
Cunningham
true.
is going to be an All-NBA player this season, and he wasn't years prior.
But
Tell me
he's
how
a
that's
top
not
pick.
most
He's supposed to be an
But
All-NBA
he's
player.
supposed to be. He's a top pick.
What do you mean supposed to be?
He's the
Supposed
number
to
one
be.
overall pick. He's supposed to be an All-NBA player.
And he will be.
Oh
Most
my
improved, Cade
God.
Cunningham, not Josh Hart.
Yeah, but he's supposed to do that. He's supposed to improve. He's supposed to develop.
But
I'm
he's
just
on the-
saying,
but he was on the
Absurd.
Pistons.
This is absurdity.
Josh Hart really is improving.
But he's always
So
been
did
like
Cade
this.
Cunningham.
My
Cade
goodness.
Cunningham went from...
You asked if we've ever been together for an episode of Afterthoughts. This is
why.
why we can't be together for an episode of
But
Afterthoughts.
Josh
is
Hart
why.
usually does this. Like he did this last
Thank you. He did
No,
it last season.
no,
Yes, he
he
did.
did this
Yes,
exactly
he
the
did.
same
Yes, he did.
Across the board.
No.
Yes, it's myth.
He did
It's
it.
simple
Cade
math.
Cunningham will
Oh
win
my
Most
God.
Improved Player this year.
I'm
He
with
will
that.
be
I'm taking the
All-NBA.
floor.
We're
I'm taking
rage
the floor.
baiting. We're
Hart
rage
did
baiting.
Hart did this in the playoffs last year. He played really, really well, but no, he responded this year. Dude, with his size to average 9.5 rebounds per game,
guys
it
just-
is unheard of.
What
so
is going on?
I don't know.
no. Anyways, time for my award, and I think I have the best
Oh,
award
this is the
of
best
the
one.
four.
This actually
I don't
is
know
the
why
best
you're
one.
laughing. This is a very serious award. I give this out every year. I really think long and hard about it. I really do the research. I dig deep for this award, and I'm really happy to announce that the 517th best player in the NBA this season will go to Bronny James. Yeah.
Let's go.
How
Clap
many,
it up for Bronny James.
how many players are in the NBA though?
565.
Why is he not 565th?
No,
nah,
there are
You're
worse
a
players
hater.
than Bronny
No,
James. I did the
no,
research. There are
no.
worse. I give out the 517th player. It just so happened to be Bronny
Do you
James.
think
This was
he's
not fixed.
Do you think he's better than he's not in the league anymore? But like Thanasis, like you
Yes.
Think,
Give me Thanasis Antetokounmpo
No
over
way.
Bronny
Thanasis
James.
won the award last year. He won
Oh,
the 517th
good.
award last year.
Other than awards, guys.
No. But let me go through the Bronny James stats.
Sorry. Go ahead. Get through
Bronny James
stats.
this season is averaging 2.3 points per game over 24 games. Has only 10 turnovers in his career over those 24
Dude,
games.
you're a hater.
He's shooting 28% from threes. He's also averaging 0.6 rebounds a game. So give it
You
up for
can
Bronny
get
James.
you can get a rebound on accident. You
Give
can
it up-
literally get a rebound
Yeah, but
tipped
he's
into
a-
Give it
your
up for
hand.
Bronny
He's a
James.
point
And
guard.
he can't even average a
guard.
full rebound
He
per
is a
game.
6-foot point guard.
I
What do you
don't
expect?
care.
He's a guard.
You don't care. So height doesn't matter in rebound.
Muggsy Bogues could accidentally get could accidentally
Why are
average
we
a rebound a
arguing
game.
over my award? This is supposed to
No,
be
this
a
is the
good
greatest award I've ever
I love
brings
this
everybody
award.
together and
Great
makes
award.
everybody smile, and it's really just not.
I just will take any chance I can
No,
get.
you're
to
really
let
hurting my
people
feelings because
know.
it hurts my feelings that you
Okay.
don't want to accept my award. All right, because I'm so
Me
emotionally
accept your
distraught,
award.
we're gonna cut to a break. Stay with us. We're gonna talk about the Masters next. I gotta get rid of these guys. Stay with us, please.
And our special guest for this week, St. Bonaventure baseball pitcher James Capilupo. James, how are you doing?
Doing great. Glad to be on here with you guys.
Awesome.
Thank you.
The first guest of the show. I'm excited.
We have many, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess let's just start off with the big story here, the leg kick. Where did it come from? When did you start doing it? Like, kind of what's the backstory behind the leg kick?
Yeah, I mean, I would say I've always had kind of a bigger leg kick. Just even growing up, like being a younger guy, I've always kind of had more of a herky-jerky motion. I guess, like, I've always just tried to throw as hard as I can. I've never really been, like, the biggest guy. Now that I'm kind of lifting weights, I'm a little bigger, like, size-wise, but height-wise, still not super big. Wasn't really blessed with a super strong arm, so kind of had to do, like, more of extra things to kind of try to create some more power. And it's been effective so far. I'm also super mobile, so, like, it just kind of comes naturally. It doesn't feel like it's, like, forced. It kind of flows naturally. Even though it might look uncomfortable to a lot of people, it goes pretty naturally. So that's kind of where we're at with that.
Is there like a specific pitcher you watched like growing up or something that had like a leg kick, or like
did you watch someone? Did you get it from like a coach or something?
I don't even think so. I think I've just always been just working on velocity and like throwing pens, especially as I was getting older on like the radar gun and stuff. And I would just kind of notice the more, the higher the leg kick went up, the harder the gun read. So I was like, just going to produce as much velocity as possible. So it just kind of kept slowly getting higher and higher. And now it's kind of staying at the same spot.
There you go. Hey, there you go.
Much higher.
Now, for a little bit of a context, the Bonnies played Tennessee in a 3-game series from March 9th through 11th, and you started one of those games. And with the game being on national television, the whole world saw the leg kick.
Right.
I mean, you were on the MLB's official social media pages, John Boy, Pitching Ninja, a bunch of other pages that, if we listed all of them, we'd be here for a while.
Just big in the world of baseball.
Yeah, right. I mean, just like, what are your general reactions to just being prominently featured in the national spotlight like that?
I thought it was pretty cool. Obviously would have liked a little bit of a different result of the game, but it was a real positive. The game finishes up and you're not feeling the best, but then it's like you open your phone and you just come bombarded with all these messages from these cool places, and it's like it's like kind of that moment where you just kind of stop and look around and you're like, this is a journey, and this is a pretty cool moment within the journey, and it's kind of really cool to see where the game can take you. And sometimes you feel like you're very small, you just want to.
Back here on Afterthoughts, I had to get rid of everybody. I let Jude stay. Jude's my guy over here. And then we brought back Nathan.
I'm back.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the Masters because this is weekend. And, I mean, everyone goes crazy for the Masters. One of the 4 majors in golf. And honestly, nowadays, I get even more excited because we get to watch some of the best golfers in the world go at it, because you don't typically get to say that anymore with the PGA and Live Tour
the split.
Yeah.
But thankfully, the 2 players from each sides are going to combine, so we actually get the best golfers. It's a weekend of scenery, tradition, and a little bit of golf mixed in there.
Oh yeah, and so we all took the time and kind of researched some guys we think could really pull off a win at Augusta this weekend at the Masters. Of course, starts Thursday. And Jude, I'm gonna hand it over to you. And who's your first guy you think could win the Masters?
So my first guy, obviously we have like the obvious ones, but I'm gonna go with, he's kind of obvious, but he's not favored. It's John Rahm. He's younger, 30 years old. I mean, that's what we would call younger now in golf, I guess, because Tiger Woods went on this tear for years.
Right.
And Phil Mickelson. But yeah, John Rahm, 30 years old, a little younger, 2-time major champion, obviously, U.S. Open, and he won the Masters in 2023. So obviously, he has that experience of winning the Masters, and really, like, why he would be my favorite, because he's just, he's got power, like, unlike anyone else in this tournament, really.
Besides Bryson, I would say. But John Rahm can drive the ball.
Rahm, you wouldn't even think it either. Rahm has that crazy short backswing, but he can generate so much power.
Oh yeah, he's
even
a big guy.
From distance, even from not distance, even if it's like a 300 one, he can even like get right in the green almost in the one swing. But really with him, like recently, top 6 in multiple live like tournaments. More recent one, he was second in the live golf. I can't really pronounce it because it's in Ridesh. It's one in like Singapore.
It's their most recent tournament.
Right. So and already winning the Masters. I think he can do that again this weekend. Obviously, he has some tough competition this year with everyone coming back and kind of merging a little more.
If history repeats itself, it could be Rahm's to win because of course Scotty won in 22.
Yeah.
Rahm won in 23, and then Scotty won again last year in 24. Yeah. So it could be Scotty putting the jacket back on Rahm this year. It would be pretty fitting. But you can never count out Scotty. I don't think anyone took Scotty.
No, I feel like that was the obvious choice.
It's crazy because he's playing like probably the worst golf of the last 2 years, like of his life right now, and he's still one of the top golfers in the world. It's ridiculous.
100%.
Yeah, the dominance is absurd. You had one more guy, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. My other guy is kind of has a history with Scotty, Brooks Koepka. And a little older, 34 years old now.
I like Brooks a lot, so I like this pick.
Obviously has that kind of like that beef with him, but Brooks Koepka is very much experienced in these kind of tournaments. 5-time major champion, including 2 U.S. Opens, 3 PGA championships, and 9 PGA Tour wins total. So really with him, he's one of the more experienced ones, and he's kind of the opposite of Rahm, where Rahm's kind of like the physical specimen. He's all mental, and he doesn't really if he has one bad shot, he doesn't let that get in his way to continue the his strive on the course. So really, I like him in this one just because of that mentality and that competitiveness he's always had.
Yeah, Brooks. What sticks out to me with Brooks is very reserved. Like he's very low speaking, very quiet. He won't really speak his mind that often, but so you know when he does, it matters. And you're right, that one bad shot, let's say he hits it into the water on 12, I don't think that'll get to him like it got to Spieth. Right. I think you want to talk about Spieth, don't you?
I would love to talk about Spieth because I mean this is a guy who, dude, he is at the lowest.
It's been a while.
This guy got cut in the Masters last year. Didn't even make it past the first 2 days. But I think Spieth is a guy. He loves the tradition of it. You got to think back 10 years ago. He won the Masters. And that was his. He was like his rookie year, and he was 21 years old, won the Masters, and went on this crazy tear. Won 3 majors during that span. So he's a 3-time major champ. But since then, his last win, Easter Sunday, 2022. So has not won in a while. But he was quoted saying, "I just have a good feel about the place because I know that I don't have to have my best stuff to play well." And he says, "I made birdie on every hole out there." He's like, this is a guy. Like some guys just love the tradition of it. It's the same course for for the Masters every year at Augusta National. So the tradition of it all. Some guys just tend to play better. And another guy, I think a lot of eyes on him right now.
A lot of eyes.
Bryson DeChambeau.
Yeah.
I mean, he is one of the biggest names in golf social media. Like everyone, content creation, you name it. Bryson's that guy. Of course, he won the U.S. Open last June. And he's really looking to have success. He finished tied for 6th last year in the Masters, and that was the Masters. We saw some pretty bad weather, and it really did play a factor. I mean, I think Scotty won. He only shot 11 under, and the next guy was like 7 under, and I think
that was
nobody really played well. Aver shot 7 under. Another guy to watch out for, but there's so many good golfers nowadays that I really think it could be anyone.
It really could. And I know we're running short on time here. I got 2 more guys. I'm going to keep it a little quick. This guy finished top 3 in the Masters the past 3 years. He leads the world in strokes gained in the approach. And I had one more note. Oh, he's a 2-time major champion.
Yeah.
Colin Morikawa. I picture Colin on Sunday walking up Holly, and he's getting ready to finish it off.
Right. You really think so?
And then after, he's going to have a good time talking to the media.
100%.
Number 2, I don't actually believe he might win, but he could totally finish top 10, top 15. Fairway Jesus, Tommy Fleetwood. He was T3 in last year's tournament, and on that Sunday, he had one of the best scores. He posted -3.
Right. So yeah, definitely some guys to look out for. Another guy, got to say his name.
Have to.
Rory McIlroy, one of the game's best. Really been playing well as of late. I got his last five. He won the Pebble Beach program. That was back in late January, early February. He also won at the Players Championship at TPC Sawgrass. He finished tied for 5th just last weekend. So
he's
placed
been on a
15th at Bay Hill in the Arnold Palmer Invitational. So McIlroy's been on a streak. He's been looking good. He's also in search of that Grand Slam and to become the 6th player ever to win all 4 major championships.
To finish the career Grand Slam. Yeah, that would be epic if he
would
did
join an elite club.
I'm not gonna lie to you guys or the fans. I'm never gonna turn down an opportunity to watch history. I never will ever. 2019 was one of the greatest Sundays of my life.
It was
for obvious reasons. I think it was for everybody else's too. But I'm never gonna turn down the chance to watch history.
I think history would be great. I mean, even if Scotty wins, that would be his 3rd Masters win. There are so many storylines. If Spieth can win, it would be what a bounce back. It would be 10 years later. He finally puts the green jacket on again. He's 31 now. Was 21 when he won it.
Yeah, and never count out Phil Mickelson. Never can count him out.
I'll never forget the Phil Sunday 2 years ago where he put himself into 2nd place at the Masters, tied Brooks Koepka. It was insane.
And then growing up too, obviously we all love Tiger Woods. It's a shame he can't play in this one, unfortunately. I don't think we thought he would win, but we wanted, we love to see him compete.
Yeah.
Phil Mickelson's kind of that same, not on the same level, obviously of dominance and of, I guess, for the culture of golf, but he's a
we all kind of have the same thought about it.
Right.
Yeah. We're all kind of along the same thought line with him.
Yeah, but I love this weekend. I'm looking forward to it. Tradition. I'm ready to sit down.
I'm clearing the schedule.
Even if I'm doing stuff, just to have the Masters
Pizza
on.
and Wayne's
I look forward to it. There you go. No, really looking forward to it. Hopefully, some of our guys play well and can win. But guys, we appreciate you joining us for another edition of Afterthoughts. We'll see you guys next week right here on Afterthoughts.
Just to know through each song, keep that Georgia on my mind.